Kurre and Klapow. Were you listening this morning?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying to get ready so I can get here.
If you did,
I heard.
then you would have almost driven off the road by the song I played.
Ambrosia?
Close.
A little Bee Gees?
Hey, boys! September 10th.
Yep.
We'll talk about September 11th during the show because tomorrow's Saturday, so we're not on, but I'll be on tomorrow. I'm going to do a little memoriam there for September 11th, 20th anniversary.
Good,
I want to talk about what we did on Fox 6 yesterday because we talked all about anniversaries.
Yeah.
Anniversaries aren't always good. And by having anniversaries, do we actually create trauma in our lives when we really don't have to? Yeah, so we'll talk about that because the more I thought about our segment, we were on with, who were we on? We were with Toy and Janice. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we remember dates. I don't remember the day my dad died. I remember national things.
Yes.
People remember Lady Di's death. They remember JFK. They remember 9/11 for obvious reasons because it was on 9/11. So that was an easy one to remember. But by constantly remembering these anniversaries, do we write them down?
Oh.
Do we have to remember that it was my dad's birthday if it was a traumatic experience or some type of death or something in,
I
in
have
your life?
so much to offer you.
So we'll talk about that because sometimes I think we keep things alive despite the fact that we want to just kind of shelf them. Maybe we've dealt through them and we're done.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you remember it, like my sister calls and says, hey, you know what today is? Dad would have been 87.
Yeah.
Oh. And
it's
I'm
okay,
almost
yeah.
like, thanks for bringing that up. And I have fond memories of that. And I'm using my dad's experience because that's the most recent trauma that I've had, if you want to call it trauma. But I'm kind of like, I'm not sure I really wanted to remember that. I don't have it written down. You know what I mean? So we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
we
got.
And it's the 20th anniversary. That's a nice big round number.
That
we'll
always,
celebrate
yes.
again. And we remember, we never forget, and we'll every single year. And because 9/11 stands alone because it is 9/11. You can't get away from 9/11 because everyone knows that horrible experience based on its date. And so if we had an 8/12, or a 3/7, then we'd remember that too. So we'll talk about that coming up in a few minutes. Got another Reddit post I want to get into today. I'm loving me some Reddit. Right after I read my Cosmopolitan article last night.
Did you?
There is a mother who came out and talked about me first, kids second. Ooh, boy, some people have got.
That's fine. Well, it depends how. On the surface, it's fine. I'm sure there's a lot of juicy, spicy stuff underneath that.
Yeah, and we'll also talk about pig nipples. Great story about pig nipples this morning.
Speaking of which,
would you eat one? And also, we have a special guest at 8:30 today.
We hope so.
He will.
Oh yeah.
And I have Baywatch on.
You got to change that. Again, for those of you watching, fine. This is why my eyes are going there. Like it can't. Look.
We have TVs on either side. We have the TV behind. We don't put the TV on behind us because we don't want people looking at the TV instead of us because the TV may have something better on than our show.
Yeah. Do you want to turn the camera?
So I will tell you that this morning it was on. I was on Fox News, and I went and found Baywatch for you.
It's
the old Baywatch
so
channel. It's fantastic.
Different.
It's great.
Like you got Dallas Cowboys. We had what do we have? Vox on there.
We're two guys, and we got a little lizard brain. I'm single. And so, if I could sit here and talk to my best friend and do a great radio show and look at some ass on TV at the same time, I mean, it doesn't get. If I could smoke a cigar down here,
we could.
I don't think we could. I smoked in the house yesterday.
Well, you can now.
Well, I had the kids. They were at school. And
I was on
the back deck and I had the cigar. Oh, and I didn't want to put it down.
So you went through the house.
So I just walked to the house.
You walked through the house.
I sat down.
Oh, see, there's a difference. There is a whole protocol there. Right? Because there's depending on your situation, and with mine and Jules, I mean, she can smell the cigar smoke 20 miles away.
It's amazing to me because cigar smoke is like the smell of something else. It's amazing how differential we are on. Some people think the smell of cigars are so good.
No, it's true.
I'm one of them.
Yes, I do too.
They do smell good. They for the most part, you could have a cigar candle. And if you lit it, some people go, that smells really good. But the fact they know it's coming from a cigar makes them not like it.
Oh, no. For my wife, she just doesn't like smell. She literally doesn't like the smell.
But if she had never,
if
she had never smelled a cigar before, and didn't know where the scent was coming from, and she smelled it in a candle, would she think it was Korean?
Yeah, she didn't like it. She can describe she didn't like it. I think because she doesn't mind pipe tobacco.
It's the same thing.
No, it doesn't smell the same. No,
sure. It's the same tobacco.
No.
You can make.
I know, but it doesn't smell.
I can roll a cigar with pipe tobacco.
I know, but it doesn't smell the same. It doesn't smell the same. I found a solution though for the backyard smoking with Jules.
Yeah.
We use this was great. I don't know why I thought this. So whenever we go out and if I smoke a cigar and I'm not with you, and Jules is out there, I'm relished to like some corner of the backyard.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do that, so she's like, "Why don't you just go get the fan, like an outside fan?" No, but listen. So I thought on the surface, I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll plug in a fan." But then I didn't realize the way I had it was blowing. It's just blowing it on me.
Yeah.
And listen, I love cigar smoke, but when it's being shoved up your nose and down your throat, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, and I also think that a lot of women don't like the smell of cigar smoke because it's what they're doing with the cigar.
That's fine. I mean, my kids used to call it, Dad, are you smoking your cancer stick?
Well, but because you're with your friends.
Oh, well, she doesn't.
Guys don't smoke cigars unless they're usually with other guys. And women are like, they're out there smoking cigars.
No, I smoke them alone.
It'd be like guys coming over to play ping pong. Oh, the next thing you know, she doesn't like ping pong because you're doing it with your friends.
So, but did it feel good? Did it feel good? Did you feel like a little bit like you're a little sneaking around?
Yeah, I felt a little nasty.
A little nasty.
I felt a little dirty.
Did you sit in your lounge chair and do it? And you like your lazy boy thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was nice.
Does your lazy boy smell like cigar?
I am.
You are coming into your own in single life.
Yeah.
Now you're just pushing buttons. Okay.
Yes, I am. I am so messed up, dude.
Don't say that. Nobody cares. Tony Curry, nobody cares if you're tired, if you're sick, if you don't have any energy, if you're messed up. I have to prepare that every single morning. The reason I don't listen to your ass on the way over here is I have to get out of my head.
Here, we got to start over again.
Okay.
Because people get...
What? What did you do?
Hold on, huh?
Hang, rewind.
You right?
Yep. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, hey!
Thanks.
Hi! Here I am. Here you are. 40 years. 40? Are you coming up on
40 years?
Yeah, you didn't push the button. Back in the day, you didn't have to push the button.
I got to settle in, dude.
Yeah.
I got to settle in. I can't just sit down and do this. I got to settle in, man.
You know what it is? Can I give you a Yiddish word of the day?
I know what it is.
No, you know what?
I've got to be. I've got to have everything set before I start anything. I can't just sit down and do something. I can't.
You're getting rigid in your old age.
Don't start.
Drinking your coffee. Gotta take a sip. Put your glasses on.
I got to reset.
Didn't shave.
So anyway, we were talking about me smoking cigars in the house. Oh, it was good. We do have a monster show today. We'll talk about the anniversary of 9/11.
Why are you laughing?
Because we just went through this, but we're going to go through it again. 9/11, of course, tomorrow. We were on Fox 6 yesterday, and we were talking about anniversaries. And I said, because usually when you think of anniversaries, you think of something good.
Yeah.
I think of marriage anniversaries, first of all, but the anniversaries are a lot of different things. And a lot of people don't like using the word anniversary unless it's something good. In this particular case, it's 9/11 anniversary. It just doesn't, it sounds like an oxymoron a little bit, right?
That's interesting. That's psychologists.
It's a day we remember, but it's really not an anniversary. I mean, because anniversaries are usually surrounding around good things. So anyway, so it is the anniversary, the 20th anniversary of the horrible bombings we had in this country back on 9/11. And because there is a date associated with this tragedy, we can't get away from it. Mm-mm. I always, and I mentioned my sister, she will call me like on my dad's birthday, which is January 14th, by the way. And I remember that because we used to always go on a trip together. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't tell you what day he died. And I don't remember that day. And it's not really that important to me. Now, if I remember it or my sister calls and says, hey, today's the day Dad died 6 years ago. Oh, and sometimes I'm like, I know generally when it is. But I think about them all the time, so I don't really feel like I need to have an anniversary.
That's okay.
To think about that. I think by having anniversaries, sometimes we bring back trauma that we really
Oh,
don't need in our lives. Not that we don't need to bring back, but we just don't need, period. It happened, time heals, and assuming that we've gotten through a particular tragedy, and for some people in 9/11, they'll never get through it because there's still not closure.
I have so much to say.
So we'll talk about that coming up in a few minutes. If you were driving in this morning and you were listening to KCast Radio on the KCast Radio app, by the way, Tim Harris is checking in this morning. Thank you, Tim, for giving me a heads up. Most of the classic rock that you hear on most stations is stuff that are redones. A lot of the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelins are all blues tunes that they redid.
Oh yes, yes.
George Thorogood, almost every song he ever made was a remake of something else, including One Bourbon, One Scotch, and One Beer. And people are like, "No, he wrote that. No, he didn't. He didn't. He took it and rearranged
That's interesting,
it."
yeah.
Jose Feliciano.
What'd you do, Feliz Navidad?
No, I did Light My Fire. Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Oh man!
Wait, that's his song?
No.
Okay.
The Doors released it in 1966.
Okay.
He released his own version in 1968, and it is the better version. I love it. It's about 3 minutes long. It's incredible.
Really?
Oh my gosh! If you've never heard Jose Feliciano's "Light My Fire," I'll play it for you before we leave today.
That's crazy.
I'll play it again.
Only on the Tony Curry Radio Network.
At 7 o'clock this morning, people were like, "What the hell?" And I'm like, "Just listen to it." And they're like, "This is killer." It's awesome.
This is
he
why
turned 71 today.
Does he?
Jose
he's young.
And it won't be. I think Magic starts playing Christmas music next week.
Yeah. You know what's so great about this? It really is. And I know we talk about this, and this sounds like a commercial, but it's true. Like, you have been doing this so long that you know all the little nooks and crannies of classic rock, and when you talk about it this way, I swear to God, it sounds like somewhere between a chef and a wine sommelier. You're like, no, I just want you to taste this.
Yep.
Taste this Jose Feliciano. I just want it before you judge. Mm-hmm. Just taste it, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. I've prepared for you. That's exactly how I see you with this. Like, you love your music, your classic rock, in that way. Yep. I mean, there's a lot of us who are sort of, diehard fans, but I would consider us more like kind of like foodies. Like, we like it, but you're on the other side of it. Let me tell you the story behind Light My Fire. Yep. And to me, it makes it better, because I mean, like, that song's okay. To be honest with you, the Doors song, it's okay. I've never heard the Jose Feliciano. I've never tasted that. It's great. It's killer. That's what you have to bring.
And his version went to number 3. I mean, it wasn't like a version that no one heard. Everyone knows his version, with the exception of you. The Doors version went to number 1. His version went to number 3 2 years later. Now, you burn out when a song goes number 1. People don't want to hear it again, so you have to have a different take on it, a little different melodic drop on how you're going to perform a song that went to number 1.
That's great.
And release it 2 years later. And he's like, I fell in love with the song, and the minute I heard it, Jose Feliciano, blind man, plays a hell of a guitar. The first time he said, I've got an arrangement. I want to do this song that is going to blow your socks off. And it did. And
crazy.
People loved it. Yeah,
absolutely crazy.
So we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll also talk about pig nipples.
Okay.
Coming up in a few minutes. Would you eat one?
How big are they?
They're about the size of a human nipple.
I wouldn't even know.
A man found a pig nipple in his food.
Oh, that's not bad. Was it like in his barbecue?
No.
Like,
no. It was at a fast food restaurant.
Low and slow.
And I'm like,
was it a hot dog?
Because we eat all.
I mean, I'm sure you get them in hot dogs. You just don't know about it.
Well, yeah, but they're grounded up. You don't see it. But he took the package off and he was like, "There it is." He had OCD. Is that right? OCD.
Yeah. I don't know.
And so
I know. Yes.
Well,
there is OCD. Yeah. I don't know.
He had OCD, and so as part of his deal, whenever he gets a sandwich, he's going to take the bun off and look at the meat first.
Okay.
And so he took the bun off.
Oh, geez.
And it was a bacon something or other, a bacon wrap. And there standing back him was a nipple. There was only one, but there was a nipple, and it looks like a nipple.
Yeah.
And so
he's going to have to go back to therapy. Up the meds.
I was going to get into that.
See, your burping, is really good. That might mean that you're holding your farts in. Do you know, ever since we did that segment.
You think about it? I know.
Every time I burp, to be honest with you, every time I burp, I'm like, I wonder if I've not passed gas because it's coming up through my mouth.
I started thinking about that yesterday.
I've been having dreams about that too. You're messing me up. Oh my God. I'm never going to be the same.
We'll talk about pig nipples, and also our good friend Cleet Walker from Vituro Health. It's National Prostate Awareness Month, or
Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Yep.
Prostate Cancer Health Awareness Month. It's the health and cancer of the prostate, which has come leaps and bounds just over the last few years. It's non-invasive now. If you catch it early, I mean, you live a good, healthy life. You don't have to worry about it. It's one of those cancers that we actually have a good grasp on.
And we've gotten better. Since we've been doing our show and since Vituro Health has been sponsoring us, I was thinking about this. When we first started this, with them as one of our key sponsors, it was The rate was 1 out of 7 men,
Yep.
right? Because that's what we always talk about, 1 out of 7 men. And about, let's say, a year ago, and you don't hear that, or at least you don't hear it that quickly, it moved to 1 out of 9 men. So actually the odds actually changed. Isn't that great?
That's awesome.
That means, you know what that means? It's not just that we're doing better on treating it. 1 out of 9 men, it means that guys are getting healthier. I mean, they're doing what they need to do, and Cleet will talk about that. But
and not only are men big babies when it comes to pain, but when you're talking about something that affects his pee-pee,
we are so avoidant. I mean,
oh yeah, we will go until it falls apart.
Yep.
We don't put oil in the car every 3,000 miles. We just run the engine until it dies on the side of the road, and then we fix it. And if we do more preemptive type of things in our lives, we better. But guys are always thinking, I'm fine, I feel good. There's no reason to go in because if I do, I know they're going to find something, and that's not always true. Sometimes it is.
That's such an interesting analogy because you're actually wrong with the car. The car is a whole different analogy. We're not afraid that something's going to go wrong. We're not. We're just whatever, lazy. We don't think we need it, or whatever. With guys and their pee-pee, and that's a total fear. That's a fear-based. In other words, we don't not put oil in the car because deep underneath we're afraid that something might go wrong. We do that. That's what we do with our genitals. Yep. Guys do it all, and their health.
Yep.
It's not just I don't need this because I always call BS on that when I hear men telling me, I'm fine. No, you're scared that because you haven't gone to the doctor or because you're overweight or because you're whatever, you're at this point where you're scared that if you go check it, they're going to find something.
Yeah.
So we got to get over it because that's totally irrational. I understand that you feel that way, but what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for death. So which would you rather have? Healthy, unhealthy, and we can treat it, or be dead? And guys do that all. They do it. Look at the death rates.
Yeah.
Look at that. We do it. For as strong as we are far more afraid of our bodies. We talked about menstruating this week. We talked about C-sections, vaginal birth. I mean, listen, think about it. Women go every year, twice a year. They get up in the stirrups, and they have somebody stick their hand up there, right? Yeah. And we're worried about a prostate exam once a year that takes, 5?
And chances are it's nothing.
Right. Yeah. And I do think that. I think that because guys, our bodies are less complicated. We're not doing as many things just to maintain our body. Mm-hmm. We're scared to death.
Yeah.
But
I agree with you. I think the guys thinking is I'm not going to go in at the age of 50 and then have to deal with this thing over the next 5 or 6 years.
No, you're absolutely right.
I'd rather just die at 63 and I'm good.
Isn't that terrible though?
It is.
I mean,
guys would rather power pack
yep.
63 great years where they don't have to worry about anything and just die off, as opposed to live to be 80 and add 17 years of
yep.
their life and have to go through 5 or 6 years of chemo or whatever.
But you know what it is? You know what's so sad about that? What's so sad about that is you don't just die off. Right, that'd be the best. The best way we talked about. The best way to go is you're powering hard.
We don't want to be a burden.
No, but
we don't want to be burdensome to people.
We don't want to be a burden, and we don't
want to fix everything.
No, but we don't also want
to.
We
don't want to be a problem.
Okay, David Hasselhoff, by the way, just jumped in the water for his 17th save.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so we'll talk about that. Joe Perry also turns 71. Jose Feliciano 76, by the way. Joe Perry of Aerosmith turns 71.
So, are they all about the same age?
Roughly. Yeah. Joe Perry.
I know I say this every week.
Perry's looking rough for 71 too, and Steve Perry just doesn't even look like Steve Perry anymore.
He's a lot of work.
It's weird looking.
Joe Perry and Keith Richards.
He's had a lot of work. I just think he wears a lot of makeup now.
Joe Perry and Keith Richards about the same age?
No, Keith I think is like 76, 77, something like that.
Because Joe Perry looks about like Keith.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
He's up there in age.
Yeah.
Also, I put myself before my child, and you don't need to if you don't, you need to reassess your life.
I agree with that completely.
This one we got pretty banged up.
Well, don't put that crap out on him.
Well, most people think that when they have kids, it's all about the kids.
No, it's not.
And it is relative to what you're talking about. Obviously, if I'm not healthy, my child's not going to be healthy.
Well, yeah.
If I'm not looking after me, this is the old. You have to love you first before you love someone else.
Yep.
I get that, and so people are like, "Great." So if your kid gets up in the middle of the night and they're hungry, and you haven't slept well, so you're just going to stay in bed, and your kid's not going to eat. Sometimes.
So, it depends how old they are.
I am.
It depends how old they are. It depends on whether you're trying to wean them off the bottle. Like, dude,
Exactly.
Are we gonna get into that one too?
Yeah, we'll get into that too.
Okay.
We got plenty to get into. All right, so we were on Fox 6 yesterday. We have a little partnership with WBRC Fox 6 here locally.
That was a good segment. It was a good
segment. It was kind of serious for the Kurre and Klapow show.
Yeah.
And we were talking about 9/11 and the anniversary, which of course is tomorrow's the 20th anniversary. I can't believe it's 20 years. And it's going to be one of those things where I don't think we'll never forget because it was too large. And we mentioned there was a survey that came out a couple days ago. 64% of all Americans said their life changed forever after that tragedy. It was like 20-something% for Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
And right now it's like 40-something% with COVID. And normally those numbers diminish over the years because time heals wounds.
Right.
9/11 will always be
Absolutely.
in the forefront. And not only because it affected so many people and affected this country, but also because it's 9/11. It's a date we cannot get away from. Every other tragedy, if you told me what day did JFK die, right off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you. Any other tragedy, I can't really, and COVID doesn't really have a date. So anniversaries are tied to dates.
It is. You know what it is like? It reminds me, I mean, you have to help me on the history because you watch the History Channel. But I was trying to think through my head, do we have anything equivalent or even close? And what just came to me was Pearl Harbor. Like, I was trying to think of, within roughly 100 years, have we ever had an attack on the U.S. like that? I mean, and not an instant, but
and I would venture to guess that 9 out of 10 people couldn't tell you the day that Pearl Harbor was bombed.
I don't remember. It's Pearl Harbor Day.
But, I mean, 15, 16, 17, 20 years after it happened, I could imagine
absolutely.
9% of Americans in this country could tell you. Now, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But the problem is it wasn't the 8/12 attack on Pearl Harbor. It wasn't the 3/7. This is 9/11. So we're always going to remember 9/11. It's going to be one anniversary you can never get away from in this country, period. Even my children who weren't born when it happened know what 9/11 is because it's 9/11.
Yeah, but why do they know about it?
Well, because they see a lot of stuff on television and stuff. But again, it's the only traumatic, horrible situation that we've had in this country that there is a date. It's known for its date.
Well, right. Unless we ever change the emergency number.
Yeah, if you had the 9/13 marriage,
right,
then you're always going to remember the 9/13. It's the 9/11 attacks, and so 9/11 goes along with it. So yeah, and it's interesting because I'm not. I try to remember people's birthdays and anniversaries and things like that, and certainly my own anniversary, which I don't need to worry about now, but which is coming up in September. It's later on this month, as a matter of fact.
Oh, geez, mine's coming up. Oh, sorry.
It's either the 28th or the 29th.
I mean the 26th or 28th.
But anniversaries remind us that something happened, and some people want to remember. I've got a friend of mine who get a new calendar, still likes to have the calendar because he likes to see it. He's got one on his phone, but he likes to see it. And the first thing he does is he goes through his phone and he writes down all the anniversaries. Mm-hmm. Wife's birthday, son's birthday, death of his father, beach trip, blah, 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 and writes it all out so he can see it. And so we're reminded of these things, good and bad, through our lives when we put them in writing and we put them in our phone. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you remember an anniversary date just because it's so vivid in your brain. But for the most part, I think a lot of people don't want to remember those dates for whatever reason. And so is it healthy or is it not healthy to try to remember those dates? For example, I loved my dad. He was my best friend, best man at my wedding. I couldn't tell you what his death anniversary is.
Yeah.
I remember his birthday, but I couldn't tell you the day he died. And I don't really care.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
Now, someone in my family will call me, inevitably, every year.
Yes.
I know what today is. Dad died 6 years ago today. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for bringing that up. And it will make me reminisce a little bit and think about that tragedy. But I don't really want to be remembered of it. Are anniversaries good or bad?
It depends.
Yeah.
It's a psychology.
9/11.
No, but so I think that, listen, it depends what you mean by good or bad. Anniversaries are just a marking of time, right? That's all that they are. They're an annual marking of time for an event. So you think about. And you ask, should you remember? This is really interesting because on the one hand, if you don't remember your dad's death, for example, who am I or anybody else to say you should? That's the thing, because it's your thing. Now, when you get into historical events, it's really interesting because, again, what always comes to me is Holocaust Remembrance Day. Mm-hmm. We will never forget.
Yep.
Okay. And 9/11 is the same way. The death of Princess Diana is a good example of something that is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Maybe we will never forget, but it's a different history lesson.
Yep.
So 9/11 is 9/11, Pearl Harbor, any of these sort of major changes to our culture are important to remember. That's how they get into the history books.
Yep.
Right? So you think about what gets into the history books. And so we should remember 9/11, and a lot of us, obviously those of us who were there, remember, but it's JFK. You talk to your parents. My mom will tell you where she was when JFK. I wasn't born. I don't know. It doesn't make a difference to me emotionally. Doesn't. Martin Luther King. When I hear the story, I don't remember the date. When I hear the story, then there's meaning to me. And should I remember? Yes, because a president died, a leader for social justice died. So in those cases, we remember them for their historical purpose if we're not directly connected to it, if we can't remember it for another reason. Yep. And that's why, again, your kids, my kids and your kids, they don't have an emotional connection to 9/11.
No.
There's none. No. But that's okay. So you ask, are they good? Should you remember them? You should remember them if they have some sort of historical significance. And if you don't remember them, it's okay to be reminded of them. But you don't have to feel long-term guilt for not remembering it. Even 9/11, I mean, obviously I knew it was coming up, but with the exception of maybe this last week, just to be honest, unless I was cued by some of the stuff that's on the news, it wasn't forefront in my mind.
No.
Now, it is now. So when you talk about psychological healing and anniversary dates are an opportunity for you to figure out where you're at with that event.
Yeah.
Maybe you're sad. Maybe you're celebrating the life of. Maybe you're grieving, whether it's a marriage or the death of a loved one. We all approach it differently. I think what is not good to do is to try to actively keep pushing it away. Because here's the thing.
Let it be what it wants to be.
Well, yeah, because...
And again,
yep.
I mean, obviously, if you're living in New York City, this day, tomorrow is a very special day for you. And to walk around the memorial almost every single day as people walk to work or whatever is certainly a big part of that. No, I totally agree with you. And when we had Janice and Toy on yesterday, we were on Fox 6, the first question was, where were you?
Right.
We all remember exactly where we were, how we heard it, and what was happening.
But the three of us were talking about Toy didn't.
Yeah.
Because Toy was a little kid.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about your emotions and healing. When it's pushing into your head, it's pushing into your consciousness, it's telling you that your brain has not figured it out, has not processed. Now sometimes that goes awry. Post-traumatic stress disorder, again, the anniversary, we see this all the time, the anniversary of either someone being in a combat situation, the anniversary of a rape, those kinds of things, they are triggering, they're traumatic because our brain has become rewired. Mm-hmm. To me, that's a little different. That's something that is a scar that we cannot, for some people, they can't even manage their life because of it. Yeah. But if you're something like a marriage or even 9/11 and it's coming in and you keep trying to push it out, then if it's pushing itself back, it's better to stop getting in the fight with it. Ask yourself, what do I feel? Yeah. What am I feeling in this situation? How am I doing in this situation?
What's amazing to me about 9/11, and again, over 3,000 people perished in the attacks, and it's amazing to me that 1,100 bodies still haven't been recovered or identified, which is just crazy to me. And probably never will be, just because of the carnage. Every year around this time, there are TV shows. Certainly on the History Channel, the Smithsonian Channel, which a lot of stuff I watch. There's all these, and I'm like, have we not seen enough of these shows about? There's been movies made about it, and I'm not. For some people, they want to see every intricate part. Yep. But the stories just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. 20 years after the date, there's still new material. And once you start watching it, it's hard to turn off.
Well, yeah, because it's connected to it. So I heard, so in my house, my wife.
I almost feel like I need to watch it.
There you go. So my wife.
I feel like I need to keep it fresh because I know as a human being that time does heal wounds. And I don't want to ever forget. And particularly now with the Taliban, the Afghanistan situation, everything going on over there, I think it's important that we do stay cognizant because what we do is it's like drunk driving. You get your DUI or you get pulled over and you're like, I'm never drinking and driving again. And then about 8 months later, there you are again because you're back into your mix, you're back into your routine, and it happens and it's unfortunate, but we don't ever want to forget that.
This is why the Smithsonian... we're coming up on, there's only like a couple Holocaust survivors, I think, who are alive.
Yeah.
And so the past 10 years or so, the Smithsonian and other institutes have been doing interviews with and visual media, that kind of thing, so that it will be forever canalized. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think this is what happens with the 9/11 and the 9/11 stories. Is it is our way of making sure, and for a lot of us, we're drawn to it. It comes on. My wife is this way. We watch it every year. It's so horrible. I mean, because of some of the footage and all that kind of stuff. But and as I was driving over here today, I didn't tell you. I heard something on NPR about two. I mean, this breaks my heart. I heard of this story. Twin brothers. Did everything their entire life together, same job, same everything, same industry, and both worked. One worked in the tower, and one worked, I guess, in a different floor. Mm-hmm. One got out, and the other, they made the phone call. He was calling his brother, saying, "I'm not going to make it out."
Yeah,
two twin. I mean, can you imagine? And he said it's the first thing it's the last thing I remember. So. Those are things that's a part of living. Like, that's just a part of living. And what'll be most interesting, and we have courses in it now, there's high school courses, there's college courses. We are living in a time where we've got kids 20 years old, who have to learn about it from the history books.
Yeah.
And I know you had the same thing. When you were reading in your history books about JFK, you and I were reading it, and okay, it was horrible, and then you return to your parents. And my mom, I remember I was crying and all that stuff. Do you remember where you were when Reagan got shot?
No.
Do you remember him getting shot?
I do.
Because you remember the footage.
I remember them saying that Brady had passed away.
Yep.
And he had not. They erroneously reported
yep.
that. I remember actually watching it. I don't remember where I was at. I remember seeing it. I remember the space shuttle disaster.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's how old you are and where you were at and what was happening, and certainly remember the O.J. Bronco thing. Yep. There's a lot of different things we remember.
That's why we teach. That's why we teach history. That's why we want to get lessons from it. But I don't think that there is. Nobody can tell you. We know this. No one can tell you how to feel. You have to ask yourself: am I feeling this way? Am I honestly feeling this way? Am I pushing something away? Am I pushing something away to protect myself? We don't tell rape victims, you really should remember this.
Yeah.
And if you're not embracing it, but if you're not remembering it, no. In fact, we have treatments for post-traumatic stress disorder that do that. So you have to get through these things because your brain has a way of managing it. And I always say the same thing. As long as what you're doing to manage it is either not destructive to you or others, right? And as long as you're doing it in a way that doesn't keep you from moving on, you're good to go.
It's amazing too. And again, we're talking just a blip in the grand scheme of time for this country. I'm trying to think that if any other country was attacked like we were back on 9/11 in 2001, would they have reacted the same way we did, and would they be as resilient? I mean, when terrorists or anyone's trying to create, they're trying to make us live in fear. It's not always about the death count, okay? Because you could go to the Mall of America today and knock off 150 people if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. It's not only about the death count. It's about us living in fear. They want us to live in fear. They want us to shut down, economically. They want us to go through trauma, and they want to make things. But I can remember how this country resolved itself and picked up its bootstraps and got after. I remember sitting in the parking lot of the River Chase Galleria for 3 weeks, raising money for NYPD and the fire departments and everything else. The outpouring was amazing.
But you know why?
It was absolutely amazing. And again, a lot of people talk about we need to go through wars and tragedies in order to find out what we're really about. It's almost like a human life, right? You need to be challenged, and you need to have your faith challenged. You need to find out what you're really made of and built of. I don't know if there's anything this country could go through.
So listen,
that would kill it. There's no killing this snake, man. I mean, this country is now. Again, I don't know if Britain would be the same way or Canada or any other country would deal with it in the same perspective, but. This country has been through a lot, and a lot of it's of our own making. Certainly not 9/11, but we are a resilient, badass.
Well,
country.
But you know what? I'm going to challenge you on this. Part of the reason that it was so bringing ourselves together is, again, with maybe the exception of Pearl Harbor, this was new to us in a generation. I mean, not over the course of complete time, but obviously the Civil War and those. But this was new. This doesn't happen to our country. So you were asking me that question, and I was trying to, as you were talking, I was thinking about other countries where they're war-torn. It happens frequently. Israel's a good example, right? So it's an interesting way to think about resiliency. For us, we lost our minds. Now again, we lost our mind because, oh my God, how could this happen to us?
On our soil.
On our soil. Now, if you're Israel, if you're Pakistan, if you're, it's happening all the time. I'm not saying that that's good. But so I think part of the reason we were able to come together in the way that we did was it was an event. It was an event that brought us together. Again, you look at some of these other countries, they have to have that kind of resiliency woven into their very being. You pick any country, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Israel. It is a part, if you're living in that country,
part of your life.
It's part of your life, and you think about what a lot
sirens go off for bombs.
That's exactly. But do you see what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. So we came together because, oh my God, this happened to us for the first time or whatever. What's scary is, and I heard this again on another show. And it was from an Afghanistan, a veteran of Afghanistan. He was saying, why can't we be right now in this pandemic, why can't we have the vibe that we did after 9/11? I mean, we just, with a few exceptions, we absolutely came together. And I say the few exceptions because a lot of our friends who were of Middle Eastern origin were not treated well in this country after 9/11. Let's be honest. But yes, and that is, I think that's why we came together, because it was like, again, it's like getting knocked on your ass, and wait, then nobody knocks us on our ass.
Yeah, but for the most part, I mean, obviously the big difference is 9/11 was a one-time, we hope it was a one-time deal. When it was over, we did pique our interest to make sure we were covered, because it could happen again over the next couple of weeks, and still, whenever the anniversary comes up or there's a major Super Bowl or whatever, there's obviously high security.
Yes,
there.
Exactly.
But with COVID, it's just like an ongoing thing where we don't really see the end of the tunnel yet, and so we've dealt with that a little differently. But it's really interesting because.
But let me.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is not the same in event, but it is a disaster. And one of the things that we see when the disaster keeps going, again, take any war. You put a guy or a gal in combat their first day, and let's say you put them in their first day and they see horrible things and things are shot up and people are dying, and then you yank them out and never put them back in there again. Yep. They're forever changed. Some of them will go on to develop mental health problems, some won't, but they're forever changed because they witnessed it happened, you pulled them out. But you think about the ones who stay in Afghanistan, the ones who stayed in Vietnam, and they're engaging in it day in and day out. And we've seen movies and stories and etc. They have ways of sort of managing it and adapting to it and making it seem almost at times for their own survival that it's not happening. Right? This is that they're going having parties and having sex, and then people are getting shot up. What's happening in COVID right now in this pandemic? I see the similarities. Because it keeps unfolding. So we keep doing things like, this is going to get better. It's not that bad.
Well, it's our new norm, right?
Well, yeah, but...
Because, I mean, there's sirens going off all the time, and then you hear shooting out inside your neighborhood every night. You're used to it. You get used to it. It's your new norm. It's the way it is here. For the same reason why we can't understand why, if you're Afghanistan and you have an opportunity to come over to the United States or Germany or wherever...
Well, why would you want to stay in your country?
Why would you want to stay there? Why? For the same reason I'd ask a New Orleans native. Why do you want to stay in New Orleans knowing that next year your house is going to be under 8 feet of water again? It's part of their normalcy. It's what they're born with.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I think the thing that we're having a hard time with this pandemic...
A lot of people live under this an abusive relationship.
Right, but we don't...
Why the hell are you in an abusive relationship? Get out, because it's part of your...
But it's what you just said. It's not good. Like, you see, and you even said this is our new norm.
And for whatever reason, we think that when you live in situations like that, it must be easier for you to deal with.
Right.
Whenever we see a hurricane or an earthquake in Haiti and it kills 300,000 people, they're used to it. Their pain doesn't mean
I'm not laughing because, like...
No, it's true.
I know.
When I see 300,000 Haitians die in an earthquake, I think to myself, their pain and their loss doesn't mean as much as if I endured it. Because they're used to it. It happens all the time.
So listen.
That's crazy.
Look at where we are. Look, but that's what I'm saying. And
sure.
look at how filtered I am because I'm worried about the political nature of what I'm talking about in the pandemic. I mean, I can't even believe that I'm saying this. We are living in, forget global. Let's just do this country.
Yeah.
We are living in our country as people are dying in droves. I mean, it's unbelievable. The hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And we're like, and we're quibbling over whether we should have mask mandates and vaccine mandates. Meanwhile, again, this is what I try to tell people is people are dropping like flies. A, B, the ones who aren't dropping like flies, a lot of them have unbelievable health problems forever. And yet, you're right. It's not as if a bomb went off and I don't know what our numbers of deaths are in this country. 500,000 people were killed.
Yeah.
If that happened, we'd go, we're 1,500 people or 3,000 people, right? I mean, this is the thing. This is how psychologically...
Well, and here's the difference there. Because as many people as we saw help after 9/11, there were still an enormous percentage that didn't do anything.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, I would venture to guess.
What do you mean didn't? What do you mean?
They did nothing. They didn't help. They didn't raise.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. They prayed. Maybe
Yep.
they didn't have the economic.
Right. Okay.
But they didn't do anything. We saw the lines of cars going all the way out to I-65, thinking, "Wow, this country is great." We saw it from our standpoint. But there were a lot of people that didn't do anything. In a pandemic, you're asking everybody
that's true. No, you're right.
the same damn thing. And that's not happening. I would venture to guess that maybe 10% of Americans, I think I'm probably going high, 10% of Americans did something special after 9/11.
That's a very good point.
Whether they raised awareness,
yes.
whether they raised money,
right.
whether they sent gifts, whether they made a trip up there to clean up.
That's a very good point.
10%. You're asking 100%.
Right.
Screw the 80%, the efficacy crap. Whatever, we're at 80% now. It's not going away because we have variants now. You're asking all of us to get on the same page. It ain't happening.
But you know what's so great about that?
Yeah, it's not happening with racial equality.
Yep.
It's not happening with pandemics. It's that you can't get 100% of anybody to do one
But listen
thing.
to what you just said. I think
you can't do that in a family.
But
if you have 16 people in your family, are we all on the same page? There's
but listen to what you just said.
No.
Listen to what you just painted it. And I agree with you. Listen to what I painted. So we talked about after 9/11, we all came together, right? And the picture you just painted, which I agree with, is, you know what? Nah, we really didn't. In fact, most of us did not come together.
Yeah.
We didn't fight, but we sure as hell didn't come together. In fact, to just use your number, 10% of us were the only ones who really did anything. Mm-hmm. Because you know what? And this, oh God, the parallels here are unbelievable. You know what? Resting your head for a moment of silence after 9/11, that doesn't count.
Nope.
Right? So again, if we pull it back to the pandemic, just because you wore a mask one day, it doesn't count. And you're right. We are being asked, whether it's the pandemic or social justice, we're being asked to unite.
Yep.
And it's really funny and interesting to me to say, we can't.
Mm-hmm.
We can't. And I bet you, if this was on social media, I'd be hammered right now for saying that. I'd be hammered for saying
Probably.
we should just, what's wrong with people? We should just unite. One of the interviews I heard, Afghanistan veteran, he said when he saw the January 6th, would you remember where you were on January 6th?
No.
I was in a hot tub, actually. I was. But he said that he has not felt like 9/11 until January 6th. He said, and this was a soldier. Oh. He said when the Capitol was taken over on January 6th, he said in his stomach, he had the same feeling as 9/11. And I remember, and I'd never thought about it that way, and yes, I was in a hot tub, but I remember watching, and it was different because it was us, right? Mm-hmm. It was, but I do remember this feeling, I don't know if you felt this, of something horrible has happened, and it wasn't that, what's going to happen next?
Yep.
How bad is it going to get? And that's a great example of not only did we not unite, this was us imposing ourselves. Dude, we got a long, you always talk about us being a young country. Mm-hmm. We got a super long way to go to be the way that we see each other in so many other situations. I mean, there's so many times, a little bit here, a little bit there. There's a hurricane, everybody raises all the money, goes down, does a hurricane. But like you said, maybe that's 5% people.
What would happen, though, if we didn't have this finance? See,
yes, it's true.
I don't know where all this money's coming from, and I watched the Joe Biden thing yesterday. The money that's being thrown out right now in this country is crazy.
Yeah.
I would like to know where it's coming from. I mean, I'm sure when they're doing the budgets, they're trying. Well, that doesn't. I mean,
I'm kidding.
But I mean, seriously,
yes.
Where is the money coming from? I don't know where all this cash is coming from. To throw $50, $60, $70 million or something right now is nothing.
Well, do you see where we've made the shift? Do you see we've made the shift?
And so when you live in a country like that, and I can only think of a couple other countries that are in a situation to possibly do that, because you got to make it to spend it, and I don't know if we're making it right now. I can't imagine we're making, certainly not what we're putting back out. We know what our deficit is.
Yeah.
But I mean, whenever there's a problem, we're just throwing money at it. And that's good. It's great that we're financially fiscal able to do that.
But we're actually not. We're actually. I mean, like
we're going to have to pay the piper sooner or later. Maybe 50 years down the road. Trillions of dollars. I don't know. Again, I'd love to get an economist on an economical advisor or something to find out where all this money's coming from, because it's amazing to me when we're talking about the small business stuff and we're going to do this, and all of a sudden you can get this and this, that, and the other. It's crazy. If we were in a situation where we weren't as economically viable to throw money at all these problems, where would we be at?
We'd be shut down. We'd shut down
because that's what a normal country would have to deal with.
They did. The other countries that were just.
But I think that's another reason why we're dealing with all these problems, because I do think there's an influx of a lot of different ideologies, immigrants, different people moving into this country, moving out of this country. That for the most part, if he's elected, I'm moving. No, you're not.
Right.
You still got it good.
Right.
You're still free, and you're still making all the money you want to make, and it's all about the money dollar.
Yep.
All right, talk about one of our great clients. Clete Walker will join us here in about 10 minutes, talking about Prostate Awareness Month, Cancer Awareness Month, Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. So he'll join us here in a few minutes right here on KCast Radio.
Let me tell you about Woodhouse Day Spa. After that conversation, I feel like I need to go to Woodhouse Day Spa. They're located up at the Summit, 905-7676. It is a chance for you to step out of yourself, go have a manicure, a pedicure, or a massage. And the greatest thing about Woodhouse Day Spa is they do not hurry you in and hurry you out. You go and have a massage or a manicure, pedicure. There's a beautiful relaxation room that you can stay. So you don't feel like I've had something and now I got to leave. It's all about luxury. It's all about resort quality services. They're located again up at the Summit, 905-7676. Or what I like to do, I do it every day just to make myself feel better and relaxed. Go to the webpage at birmingham.woodhousespas.com. That's birmingham.woodhousespas.com.
All right, so Clete Walker is a good friend of ours. Vituro Health will join us in just a few minutes at 8:30 on the KCast radio app. We won't Facebook live that. We want you to listen to the KCast radio app. It's really, really good. We'll be talking about Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, which is September, and then we'll come back and do some more Facebook Live a little bit later on the show.
Sounds good.